Deputy Speaker.
Well said.
The landscape's definitely changing with our farmers at the moment. A lot of them being pushed out of sheep and are now solely reliant on cropping programs here along the Great Southern. The general conversations around the Great Southern, the ones that I've had with farmers, is they've got enough fuel to start their cropping program, but have they got enough to sustain that through to the next stage when they start spraying? There's some big increases in input costs going into these cropping programs. We've got fuel, we know there's going to be an increase in fertiliser cost. These are marginal operations. So a lot of that question is, do we plant? Have we got enough gross in this current rotation that we're actually going to make money at the end of the day? There's some really big questions that need to be asked for some of our farming people, definitely in my region. Conversations with a couple of farmers is about which fertiliser they can actually get, having to buy 2 lots at a lesser grade just to spread across their own farms just to get a start. These are more variables within their cropping programs that are going to make them even more marginal, something that really needs to be taken into account. When you make a decision from a business perspective, you generally know what you're dealing with. You know what your input costs are. You've got a rough idea of what your outcome is going to be. They've got no control over markets, definitely got no control over what these fuel prices are going to be. I think if we had come to, well, let's just restart my computer up. If we had any idea of what was coming, we might have had a different approach. We know that if we probably had the 90 days security of fuel stage supply that we were supposed to have been mandated or suggested that we have, maybe we'd have a different outcome. Maybe a softening of prices. We might have been able to ride it out and get some cheaper product to our farms. There were suggestions made about farmers stockpiling. Most farms only have a certain amount of storage available to them on farm. We don't have a lot of broad acre farms the size and the scale they do in the Midwest. We still accommodate a lot of small farmers within our area. They rely on real-time supply to their gate. They might only have not hundreds of thousands of capacity, but just thousands of litres of capacity on their farm. So if the distribution is not happening and the distribution is not in real time, these guys suffer, and they are at the coalface. They rely on real-time delivery. I'm concerned when these crops do go in, and they will go in, there will be some people that will choose not to sow a crop this year. Is sufficient fuel in 6 months' time to be able to take that crop off. And we know that there's more fuel required for that service to get the crop off and get it to market. It's a logistic nightmare for some of these guys. The potential volume reduction also in what these crops are going to bring, and if there is a reduction, there's flow-on costs, flow-on effects to our communities, small regional communities that would have farm assistants, labourers and that within these small towns just won't be there. It'll be a double whammy for these people. Our food security is going to suffer. Not now, it won't be immediate, but the effects will be known in 18 months' time when we start to see the effects of decreased crops, cereal crops coming in as to what's going to be available, and that's going to be on us, and that will be worldwide. But the farming community is resilient. They will survive. They've been through major droughts and stuff before. They know adversity. They will rise above this and they will see themselves through. They will survive again. There's been issues raised about storage. In Albany, we've got 6 pristine tanks that are up on the thing behind the port, unused at the moment, and we know that Ampol are looking to remove those tanks. So we've got a start-up already where we can store a reasonable amount of diesel and fuel within the Albany electorate, right behind our port. So we're ready to go. So hopefully, Minister, there's some movement on that to stop Ampol from removing those tanks right from our foreshore. I was up there recently just on the weekend. It's a really great facility. It's very clean and obviously ready to use. And there are a number of proponents already available that will take that opportunity to use that storage facility. We had touched on briefly before with some tourism aspects. The member for Vass raising about the unfortunate situation with those flights to Sydney coming out of Busselton. It is a gateway for tourism to the Margaret River area. It'll be a travesty if that is a prolonged thing to see those flights shut down. Hopefully it's only short term, but it may just be the tip of the iceberg. Maybe there'll be other markets that will have reduced opportunity with reduced flights. We're getting other reports of cancellations, especially down on the south coast through the Great Southern with the fuel issue. We are just that little bit extra for people to travel, and that extra half a tank of fuel that they're going to have to pay for is having an impact. Hopefully this is short-lived. We will see our tourism community is robust. It will rise above it, but it's going to have some short-term impact on us. We know that those communities along the west coast have been hit with multiple things, with Cyclone Narelle, as the member for Midwest had mentioned on. Those communities of Exmouth and Carnarvon have been devastated with those storms, also devastated with the impact of the fishing bans and what that's doing to those small regional communities all the way up the west coast. So it's something to take on board for us all. We are a resilient community. We need to work together. We need to find a solution. Members on this side of the House are open to offer solutions to those in government to find us a solution going forward. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Member. Member for Robe.